Welcome to Project 8B, and in today's lesson we're going to work with more of the civil side of things. We're going to be working with grade of slope, angle of repose, and we're going to do a basic level road cut and fill. Now, we talked about slope last class, and we understand that for slope we got to come off that horizontal plane up to the object. You know, it could be a line, could be a road, could be a rafter, just whatever you're working with. And as you see in front of us, I've got a little car, and it's driving on the road. Now this line right here is representing the road on both of those. That's highlighted. And also, the car is setting on top of that horizontal plane. Now the view of this car right now is in the frontal plane, but the car is actually setting on top, or actually it's representing the horizontal plane. That road is actually parallel to the horizontal plane. So, looking at this right here is perfectly horizontal, and this line right here, this little car is driving on a road that's perfectly flat. The grade of the slope of this line right here would be 0%. Okay? So I can come up here, hit text, down right here on this little side, I want to put 0%. It's a little large. Alright, so now that is 0% right there because there's no slope and there's no grade to it. Now, you're probably wondering, what's the difference between grade and slope? Slope is the angle in degrees. Grade is the percentage of incline. Okay? And I want to show you how you figure that for a road. And you can see this little car is going up an incline. It's going to take more power for this car to go up that hill as it is for this car to drive along this flat plane. So, I come over here and grab my angular, or a 9 degree. On this road right here we have a 9-degree slope. So how do you find out what the grade of that is? Well, to figure out grade, it's typically you take 100-foot length, and at the end of that, get the dimension from there to there. And this one is reading 15 foot 8.5 inches. Okay? So when it gets a weird number like that, it's best you got to put both of these things into the same unit. And if you would like, we can put all this into inches if it'd make it easier for you, or we can calculate this into feet. Either way would be fine, and I'll tell you what we'll do is we'll just keep it in feet. We just got to find out what this is in decimal form. It's 8.5 inches. To do that, you just take 8.5 divided by 12, and it's 0.708. So 15.70833. You take that number, which is in feet, make sure this was in feet, and you divide that by this 100 foot. So you're getting a 0.157. We'll say that is rounded up to the hundredths place, and we'll call that 16%. So this grade coming up through here, this grade of this 9-degree slope is 16%. Again, this line is level, 0%. This line is going up at a 9-degree slope, and the grade of that slope is 16%. So with that in our mind, we're going to come over here and we're going to work on angle of repose, cut and fill. All right. Now, we have gotten grade of slope figured out. We learned how to calculate the grade of a slope. Now we're going to come over here and we're going to do a little cut and fill. Okay, whenever the state comes in and they build a new road, they have in this area they're going to have a lot of hills. Anywhere you're at, there's no perfectly level ground, so you're going to have to cut some areas. You're going to have to fill some areas to get the road at an appropriate grade. So on this one, this is rare, but the grade of slope is 0%. So this road has no slope to it, has no grade. And the road is sitting on top of mean sea level at 250 foot elevation. The angle repose, cut and fill, is 2 to 1. Now you're starting to ask me, what in the world is angle of repose? Okay, when we talk about angle of repose, you're talking about cut and fill. Now, over here is just a little example of it. Let's say this is the profile shot of this, and this right here is the big hill. This is a hill right here. Now, this is the proposed road at this point. This is where your vehicle is going to be driving. You're looking straight forward. Now, the state's proposed a road, and here's the mountain, so I've got to cut this thing out. Well, in the cut, remember over here it says cut and fill is the angle repose of 2 to 1. What that means is, if I come down here, you go off this point, you come over 2 foot, and you go straight up 1. It's a little bit opposite if you do architecture quite a bit. It's opposite of a roof pitch. You know, if you had a 5-12 roof pitch, that means 5 up, 12 over, right? This is kind of backwards of that. Angle repose always like 2 to 1. You go over 2 in the X direction, and Y you go up. So again, this is the mountain. This is our angle of repose that we're going to cut out, and this is going over 2 and up 1. This is a 2 to 1 angle repose. So all this stuff will be cut out, and this is what we'll be left with. And the reason that you do this is because when you're driving on this road, okay, this is again the profile shot. We're driving down the road here. If this line was straight up, vertical, and you cut this mountain out, like cutting it straight up like that, or even just a small little angle of repose, well, you get these cliffs and things like that, boulders fall off into the road and debris. You don't want that. You want these slopes and this grade, you want it to be kind of gradual, or more so gradual. That way, if something did fall off, it has time to at least slow down instead of just falling directly into it. And of course, the road would be here, but they'd be ditch lines that would catch the majority of anything that comes off into the road, because a big boulder in the road, it can do havoc to your vehicle. So that's the reason we do that, and basically I'm just going to do a trim on this. So now, when we're driving, this is what we're going to see. Our little car is going down the road. We're looking straight forward here, and this is that big hill has been all cut out. And then this is what we see when we're driving. So that would be the cut. Now the fill would be opposite. And I'll show you that. Let's just do a mirror on this and this. The fill angle repose is just completely opposite of that. Let's say that you didn't have, maybe you had a valley. Well, we got to build the road up. You don't want to build a road up completely vertical, because if something happened and the guardrail didn't hold and somebody hit the guardrail, you come straight over the cliff. If you build it up like this, you won't have any type of the road, breaking out or things of that sort. And also, just in case of accidents, you've got a gradual slowdown instead of something just falling completely off the side of the road. So we're going to show you this, how that you actually do that, how you actually calculate cut and fill on a level road right now. So first thing I want you to do, this is similar to the one that you're going to be drawing in Project 8B. You come up here and go to Format and set yourself up a point style. Okay, if you can't get to this toolbar, just click on this little button here, and right now it's hide menu bar, but it'll show menu bar, and that's what you click on, and it'll bring up this toolbar for you. Go to Format, go to Point Style, and just whichever point style that you want to use. I want to use this one right here. I always set mine absolute to the screen, and then I'll click on Draw Point. And I'm just going to click over here, and that's going to be really tiny, so go back and adjust it. Format, Point Style. Now let's just see what happens there. That looks pretty good. I can see that point right there. So what I do is my angle repose is 2 to 1, and on this one you've got to find another bit of information. So this is the first thing I want to know. My greatest slope on the road is 0. That's the first thing. Okay. My elevation, I got that at 250 foot. So this road's at 250 foot. Now, look in here, and these are contour lines. And this shows you on the horizontal plane what the elevation of this terrain is. You got 200 foot, 250 foot, up to 300 foot. Now, we got to know the contour interval as well. And to do that, what you do on contour interval is take and you look in this one is 200. These are my index contours, 200, 250. And in between it, you have 4 intermediate contours. Now, to find the contour interval, it's the distance between each contour line, and of course between contour index contours is this one is 50 foot, 200 to 250. So there's 5 contours in between that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 spaces in between that. So you just take 50 and divide it by 5. So your contour interval is 10. So let's just text that in here too. So on this one, our contour interval is 10 foot. Now, we're ready to start drawing a little bit, but we got to do one more calculation. Let me get this point out of the way. Now, what you have to do, we're going to first take off by working with the cut. Alright, we're going to go through and we're going to cut everything out. Before we do that, we have got to do this. You got to take your interval and you times it by your angle of repose. Okay? So it would be 10 foot times 2 makes it 20 foot. Okay? What you do is you offset this line right here 20 foot. And I'll show you that. Offset 20 foot. Just like that, and offset this side. Now, I want to make myself up a layer, and I want to call it the cut layer. Oh, I already had it up. I want to call this one the cut layer. I want to change this color to something totally different. Okay. And I want to change both of those to the cut layer. Okay. Alright. Now, remember, we're going to cut. So, when we're trying to figure this out, this road's at 250 foot. So, go in at this point, use your point, find your 250 foot contour, because that's what's level with the road, and you come up to the road and you put your point, just like that. On this side, this is 250. That's the same 250 contour coming across here. I put it right at this point. Okay? Now, it slides back around. Boom. Boom. Now, we have gotten these points set. Now, this is where the elevation, 250 foot, is level with our road. Okay? Where the road intersects with this 250 foot contour is where we had those points. Now next you see that we put that offset of that line. You remember we took the angle of repose 2 to 1, 2 times the contour interval, which was 10. 2 times 10 is 20 foot. Offset it right off that line, which this road's 250 foot. We offset it right at the edges of both sides of it, 20 foot offsets. And that line is going to represent our cut at 260 foot contour. So you see there's 250, you go up one more, 10 foot contour intervals, that makes this line 260 foot elevation, and you sweep through here, and this line represents the 260 foot. Where those intersect will be your next point. So you just go up there and click that, follow your contour line to where it touches that offset of the one after the road. Follow your contour, click it, follow your contour, and that's where they intersect at. Now we just repeat an offset. We go 20 more feet on our offset. And this time when we offset 20 foot, this next line is going to represent our 270 degree contour. So there's 250, 260, 270. So go up here and grab your draw point. 250, 270 is right there. You see where they intersect at? Where that one intersects at. Zoom in close, make sure you get dead on the money. Follow that line around. This is my 270 line. Click on that. Follow that around. Right there's 270. Just continue. Offset again was 20 foot. This one's going to represent 280 foot. And again, draw, grab your points. Right here's 280. We follow that around, grab that one down to there. Alright, now the next offset will be the 290. Offset, I'm sorry, is 20 foot. Enter. And it's going to represent the 290 degree offset, or 290 foot contour. That's the 290 foot. We're just going to follow that around. There's that. There's that. There's that. And then the last one we could do offset of 3, or actually, remember, keep your 20 foot offsets. Enter. And this one's going to represent our 300 foot. So grab your point. And up here, I'm not touching the 300 foot, but over here I am about, and it's actually right around where that text is. So I'm just going to turn off my snap, eyeball it in here, click it there. I'll grab my snap, turn it back on so I'm more accurate. It kind of rolls around, comes back down through here. It don't look like I'm going to touch it in this screen. It'd probably be somewhere in this general vicinity, probably right about here. Kind of rolls back in, and it's not going to touch here, but we'll estimate it about right there. And then we need to just go ahead and offset again 20 foot. Just on this side, there's nothing over here. There's there's no 310 over here, but they are right here. 310, draw, put our point on. This is the 310 interval there, where that crosses. I'll click on that. And the next one was 320, but it's way up in here, so we'll end up having to just, I'll hit a point somewhere up here. I'm just going to eyeball it. Be somewhere up along this vicinity up in here somewhere. And of course this one would probably be up and around this vicinity up there. Okay, I want to grab all this stuff here, and I'll pull it up. If our contour intervals would have continued, they would have ended up somewhere along these lines here. This point might be just a fuzz off, so I can just move it just a little bit. Alright, now at this point, this is all your cut. You've got all your cut. So come over here and use a polyline and snap it. You want to snap to node, and go ahead and snap these points in, these nodes, just like that. Now, all this area, this little boundary that we're polylining in right now, that's going to be the boundary where we're going to cut. And I'm not too sure about this one up here because we didn't have no lines. I imagine it kind of curves a little bit like that. And what I would do at this point is I'm going to polyline edit, p-edit, and you can come up here and grab these just to make it look a little better. And I want to do a fit, a P. It just smooths it out. It follows the it actually follows the points, but it makes a better looking smooth curve to it. And this is actually what it would be out in the field. Grab this and do a fit. Select our line, hit fit, enter. So at that point, this line represents where our construction equipment will have to come in and cut. This is the road, and this right here will be our angle of repose cutting. So we're cutting this hill out, and it'll be coming up at an angle at that 2-to-1 angle of repose. Now, let's go ahead and change the line to the cut line here. We can do that really quick. Cut line. And basically, at that point, we need to go ahead and put a fill. Now, the fill, there's 250. There'll be a little bit of fill right in here because there's 250. There'll be a little fill right there, but the most of the fill, we can use these same lines because we cut and fill both was a 2-to-1. Now, they can be different. They can be a different angle of repose. They might be 1.5-to-1 or 3-to-1. And the other one would be 2-to-1. You know, they can be opposite or completely different, or they can be the same. But on this one, it's 2-to-1, so we use a 20-foot offset, so we can just use the same offsets we've got. But you go backwards, okay? And what I mean by that, let's go ahead and grab the fill, set it current, is like this line now will represent, instead of the 260, it's going to represent the 240. We're just going backwards. Okay, so grab your point. Come in here and find your 240 line where it matches it. Click it. Follow that contour around. Click it. Alright, the next line here will represent our 230 because we're going back downhill instead of going up. We're filling it in instead of cutting. And we just follow that 230 right there to right there. So that's about it. And you're going to see here, we draw polyline. You go from this one to this one to this one to that point. In that area, you're going to have to fill the road up because it's a big valley right in here, and the road needs to be filled. And this right here will be the angle that it's filled on. And plus back here you're going to have just a little tiny bit following this area from the 250, and it kind of starts going down that ditch and that drainage. It'll have to be filled in. So at this point we're going to use some hatches to show what the cut and the fill is. We leave the road on there. We leave our cut and fill lines in, and we put some hatches. To do that, come back to your layers, turn off your contour lines, turn off where we had our offsets. Also, PE, I need to polyline edit this line and do a fit on it, make it a little bit smoother. Okay, that looks pretty good. For some reason that line didn't come out. I'll just delete it out. Alright, and there's one more. That curve needs to come out. Now, come up here and do you a hatch. And just find some. I'll use this cross pattern hatch for my fill. And I'm using an 800 scale on it. And up here also, if you remember, I do need to open that back up, that contour, the intermediate contour. I need to open it up. So that was actually not an intermediate, that was an index contour. I need to open it back up. You see this little hatch pattern right, or this little area in here? It'll have to be hatched as well with a cut. And I do that just like that. I need to set this one current to the cut, or the fill layer, I'm sorry. Just like that. Now let's go back in there and we'll turn off our, what I want to do at this point, I'm just going to break it point, grab that contour and break it right there. And I want to break it point, the contour right there. And this, I'm just going to take and delete that out. This line, I want to change it to the fill layer, just like that. So that's the fill. Now let's go in here and let's turn off that contour index for this time being. Alright, now I'm just going to take and do my hatch again. I'll find me a hatch that's going to look decent for my fill. I'll use this one right here. Grab that and place it in. Okay. Alright, now at this point you can just trim out all the fat off this. These lines you don't need here. Get rid of those extra points. And if you zoom in, all the hatch in blue is your cut. This is the area that had to be cut. There's your road. This is all the area that had to be cut. It's cut at a 2 to 1 angle of repose. All the areas that had to be filled to get the road, to get the earth up to the road level, is in the yellow here. It's hatched there, and it's at a 2 to 1 angle of repose, so it's kind of coming over the bank here at that angle. And what you'd have to do, really and truly, at this point is you'll need to make yourself a little legend somewhere and just put what the hatches represent, cut and fill. If you have any problem with this, I know it's a lot to digest in just one setting, but just contact me and I'll help you through it.